I can promise you that any data you get you want to analyze, you always have kind of problem that the data has. Maybe there's some missing values within the data, there's some missing data points. So in this video, that's basically what we are going to handle. In our current data type, in our current data set, we do not have any problem with our data. The data tend to be working perfectly, but I'm going to try to remove some data from it so we can see how we're going to able to fix this. So let me go to my data. So I'm going to, this is data we're currently working. Where is that guy? This is the guy. So I'm going to try to remove some things. Let me do for that of number is easier. For this of our product line, which is for the unit price, this is for the unit price. For let me just go there. Let me remove for this of our row 6. So let me remove this guy. When I remove it, it's going to be none, meaning none, not a number. Meaning, so let me also remove for this other guy. Let me just do for that of from rows to maximum of row 10. So let me remove some other things. Let me remove this electronic. No, let me not do that. Let me remove only numbers so we can actually deal with numbers. Because if you try removing a character, you're actually putting yourself in more trouble. What you are going to do is to actually wipe out the entire row. There are still many ways to handle that by encoding and some other things. So let me just try removing and focus on numbers only. Let me not go up. Let me go there a little bit. So I'm still going to come back to fix all this by Control Z. Yeah, Control Z. I'm going to fix all this. So right now our data is then messed up. So let me remove all these guys. Okay, let me just comment it out. So I'm going to print our data frame here. So let's see what we have as of now. So let's see how messed up are they. But I'm going to go for that of head. And I'm going to go for 10. So I'm going to get the first 10. So let's run that and see. But there's still a small problem because this is not going to be a little bit, not going to be long enough for us to see where our problems are. So I'm going to do the what dot to what underscore shrink. So to get everything. This we have done with getting of the data. Okay, let's some things. Now we're seeing none, not a number. Now we're having kind of empty that means it's not being occupied, nothing is inside of it. So you can see some of them is beginning to appear. We have seen two, there should still be some other ones too. So this video, like I said, we are going to handle all those non-value. How can we do that? I'm going to show us 4 ways we are going to handle that. There are still many other ways to handle it. The first one is actually to wipe it out. That's actually one of the best way we can wipe it out. So if I look at this of our total column here, so total row we have here is actually to that of 10, which is actually stand for 0 to our 9, which is actually 10. So how we can actually do that? Let me remove these two. Let me remove this the head that does not that have this contain this 9. This is basically the best way when it comes to situation whereby the rows that have 9 is small. And in a situation whereby removing it won't really cause much problem to your data. If your data is quite large and then all these small guys is giving you tough time, you can just remove them. So how can I do it? It's just that go to call this up our df. We're going to say what drop now, and this drop now we're going to set what in place equals what true, meaning that this drop now is just trying to drop none. That's actually the name. That's not how to understand. So drop now in place, we're setting it to be true. So let's run this. Before we run that, let's actually make sure that we're dealing with the head. Like in a situation, we're actually dealing with that of the first. So let's say this the head. So our df is now going to be only that of the 10, the first 10 rows. So we're just going to write this of our df. So we're interested in only getting that of the 10 rows. So let's run that. Let's look at the output that we got on our screen here. We can see that, let me go up. Consider this is signify that this is row 0, which is row 1, and then let's go down. I have row 1 here, so let's go down, and then where's our row 2? Row 2 is gone. You can see you see where the this thing comes in, row 2 is gone, this is row 5, there's no even row 4, and there's no even row 6. While clicking at row 7 and row 8, row 9, these other guys were not affected. Where they were affected were row 2, I can say row 3, and that of the row 4, and that of the row 6. You can see in this way we can be able to wipe it out and then try to get look at the good ones that we're interested in. So if we want to actually get the rows that is actually the row, we want to get arrange the row, because in this way the rows are not being arranged. You can see 1, 3, 5, 7, which is naturally arranged. So if you want to remove all those rows that actually that has all those non value, we can set that what is called what ignore index. So we're going to do ignore index. We're going to do what? Set it to true. The ignore index is not hard for us to wrap on our head. So when we set this ignore index, it's going to wipe out all those ones. So let's see example, and then we can do for that of the other ones. Now this is what we have. You can see that we're now having to that of row 6, the row 5, row 4, row 3, row 2, row 1, and row 0. Everything seems to be arranged because of that ignore index. The name alone should tell you to ignore that index of a guy. So the next way to handle this, remember there's a way to handle this here. Have to be a particular done in a particular reason. Is the reason depend on your choice. So the way to handle this handling of this of our empty data, another way is to actually give from the top. If it's in a particular color, how we are going to do is from that of the top, we can actually check the mean from that top to that particular place. This is not actually the best way to do it, but it can actually provide us with a better way. So but another way we can actually replace that of that none. We can replace it to 0. We can make it to 0. That's another way. And another way that I found as one of the best ways to actually make it mean, to actually get the mean of the entire column and then set it to that. But before you can do this, you must know the columns those columns that have those missing values. So how can we find out the column that has those missing values? So when you print out your data in the first way, you are going to see all those columns that has those now. So let's run this to see those data, because we know that all the values that we remove from our data set will actually from that of row 0 to row 10. So we know we are dealing with row 10. So I set our DF to focus only on row 10, so we can actually try to make it things easier rather than trying to make the entire disk, which can be a little bit really not in the best way possible. So but another way for us to do this guy is taking a little bit of time. So let's just open the supermarket file. Okay, let's go back here. So let's look at some of the column that's exceeding this kind of problem. So let's look at, we know that row 2 was having issue. So let me drag this up. Know that row 2 was having issue. You can see row 2, this signifies we have 9 here, and this 9 came before the date. So I will know that this date and the total price have issues. So in that total price column, we are going to make, we can look at this. So for us to make these things a little bit easier for us, we are going to focus on one particular row. Let's say we're interested in this of let's focus on this of our unit price. So I'm going to go back to our data set and try to change only for our unit price. So let me go back. I'm going to do Control Z for everything to come back to it where it was. You can see all the remove data, we actually back on the track. So let me just remove for that of the unit price. So after our product line, so unit price come before the date. So let me remove this 392. I'm going to remove 390. Okay, let me now remove that. They come before the date. So let me remove this guy. So let me remove this guy too. So let me, okay, let it not pass 10. So let me also remove for this. Where is the date? Let me also remove for this guy too. So with this, we can actually make it things easier for us to do. So to do that, I change it to that of the mean, because I printed another particular row, which is, let's just focus on that. I can say df is going to be our df unit what unit price. Then we are trying to target that of the unit price here. So we are going to go for that of the unit price. Name most put this, so I can try to remove this. So I want to look at that unit, the data fill unit price. I hope that is the correct spelling of that of the unit price. Unit price. Let me just copy it, because if it's not correct, I'm going to run into some problems. So that for this of our unit price, since I know this is where the problem is coming from, I want to change it to what? I want to do the mean of it. So I'm going to do what? I'm going to fill now. I'm going to fill it with the mean of the entire fill. I'm going to open the bracket. I'm going to paste this of our the unit, this in again. I'm going to say the what the mean. It's just simple as this. It's just like saying this of our data colon, which is the df unit price, the mean of it. I'm going to fill this of our unit price with it. So, but before we run this, let's look at our unit price. Let me get only our unit price here. Let me run it. So again, here going to be df. Let me close this and run it again. If we are to look at it, you can see. So why we not get it? I remove some of them. What was actually affected was our total price, not that of the what is it? Not that of the unit price. So let's just change it to total price. So I'm going to go for that of the total price. So let's look at total price to see those of the noun values that actually existed on it. I need to remove this. Everything looks pretty good. So let's run it and see what we are going to get. See here, we get all this noun, meaning noun are not a number. So with the help of this, what this line of code will data, which are total price. See here, it's going to be our total price. So we're going to use that dear total price. We're going to fill it with mean of our total price. So let's run this again. We can see we actually tend to fill it. It's just like saying the mean. I think this was, we filled up this one. Let's go to the top. So our number row 2 was actually filled with what? Which was this? We actually filled with 1352. You can see other ones 1352 point. That was actually the mean of this of our total price. Do this is to make use of forward fill. This forward fill, how this works is that since this row 2 was not actually available, so it's going to use the value in this row 1 to fill it up. In case if it was affected on row 0, it's going to make use of the second row. So that's basically what. So we're going to use what? Forward fill. Here we're going to set a method inside of here, which is what? So we're going to say method is going to be sort of what? Forward what? Fill. It's as simple as that. Forward fill. Let's run this and see our output. So let's look at what we got. We see that 520, 528. Our row 2 now inherited this 528 from our previous row. The same thing with this row 5, and it's going to be also for that of row 6. This is actually forward fill. There's still another way, which is actually expand, like trying to get the mean. It's going to be the mean of these two guys to fill our row 2. So let's also do that quick. Let me do Control Z so we can. I want to make use of this. So it's going to be this our df total price. Going to be, I'm going to put here dot what? Expand. So I'm going to put dot expand. I'm going to do dot mean. This expand means that the previous row is going to do the mean of it, and then it's going to substitute that noun value to that of the mean. So let's see example. Let's run it and see how what we get. So we got this error. So instead of supposed to be expanding, not expand. So let's run it and see again. So this is what we got. You see that 5 to this row 0 and row 1 we actually was actually available. So what this row 2 that actually changed to 524. If you check 520.02 plus 528.18 divided by 2 is going to give us this out. We can see I just showed us 4 ways we can fill up empty data in noun value. You can see that with this way you can set to choose any one of your choice. You can also set it to 0. To set it to 0 just to fill it equals to 0. Just basically simple. I'm not going to do any mean or any distance. So there are many situations where we are going to come in. I'm still going to do in situation where we'll be stuck to that, we'll be forced to do for that of mean. So a situation where we'll be forced to set it to 0, and the situation where we're going to just eliminate it. So a situation where we're just going to set it to 0, or a situation whereby if it kind of the way the colon is being, the colon that have those missing values is being done. If it kind of it follows a particular sequence, we can use that of mean. If the first and second has to do with something, has to do with third, or the mean of the third has to. If you look at how other ones are being arranged, so that's where you know which one to use. So before you can start doing analysis on data, like before I start analysis on data, like I keep on saying, you must understand how the data is being presented. So you need to actually have a clue on how the data is being presented. With knowing how the clue of data is being presented, you can start the performance analysis. Like this way, I know how the data is being done in the way I want it. So I just want to remove some things and then try to us to solve and present the data in the right way. In this way, we can leave data like this, but leaving data like this leads us to kind of other problem. But as we go on, we're still going to see how all these things work. So I think with this should have come to the end of this video. If you enjoy, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'll be happy to see you in the next video. We'll be doing some other amazing things. Thank you for watching.